What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Mind of Marsal podcast. This is episode number 128. I am your host, Armando Marsal. You can find all of my work over at fantasyguru.com. Follow me under to the machine at Armando underscore Marsal, as well as on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Mind of Marsal. That is right. You heard that right. I am back on TikTok at Mind of Marsal. Was able to get my username back, not my previous account, but did get that username back. So make sure you're giving me a follow there on TikTok. Before jumping into it, I just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you all. Remember, folks, if you're enjoying the podcast, enjoying the content, please make sure you follow, rate, like, review the podcast wherever it is you're consuming it. You can also now watch these podcasts on YouTube at the Mind of Marsal YouTube channel there. It is Tuesday, and I got a special guest on with me today to talk some football. You can find all of his work over at fantasyguru.com. One of the sharpest guys I know in the industry. I also am lucky enough to call him a good friend of mine, the great Russell Clay. How's it going, brother?
Mondo, always appreciate you having me on. Glad to hear the TikTok was up and running. You were this was a you had a big lead and then the scammer kind of took it was kind of like the Broncos Giants a few weeks ago where you had a lot of momentum and the scammer just said, "No, we're going to be posting chopped up meat videos and Asian market videos." So we're glad you're back and keep grinding, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. It got weird that the old account did get funky. It took a wild turn. We and I have talked about that. It did take a wild turn. But like, you know what? I got picked off at first base. I was trying to steal. I
Yeah.
got picked off at first base, but guess what? I'm on the base again, baby, and I'm taking the big ass lead, and we're
He's
going
back.
straight to second base. That's how we do here. We don't give up. We keep trucking, and that's what I'll be doing there with my TikTok account. So make sure you're checking that out. I'm always posting content there. I try to do it daily, but yeah, keep an eye out for all the content there at the TikTok and all my other social media platforms. I know you got I mean, you got your TikTok rocking too. You got some pretzel reviews, you got football content, you got Dynasty, you review the rosters. Why don't you tell everyone what you got going on there on the TikTok machine there?
Well, the latest thing I got, Mondo, is I post comedy clips on there as well. So if you guys like comedy, I post mostly it's Norm Macdonald and stuff like that. But I found a Kevin Nealon interview with
Yes.
Conan O'Brien. So that's one of my non-football things. But yeah, we do dynasty stuff. I do TikTok lives where we talk about the latest stuff going on at Fantasy Guru. Let people pick at the rankings because Mondo, it's so funny. Like I have no ego with Dynasty at this point. I've nailed stuff. I've gotten stuff laughably wrong. It's like, all right, there's so much info, and what I've learned is like, okay, I'm not necessarily gonna agree with everyone else's takes, but there's other information that like you can fill in the blanks, especially with a dynasty ranking. So if you like talking ball, that's what we do at Fence Guru with the dynasty stuff. So that is yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on there. And then pretzel reviews, Mondo, but I haven't done those in a while. So yeah.
Those Kevin Nealon clips are good. I laughed at a couple of those. I do like that. I think he's a very good comedian. So big fan of those clips that you've been posting there on the TikTok machine. Look, we are now on to week 10. Today is Tuesday. The trade deadline is actually this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. You and I are recording about 2 p.m. Eastern time. So there's still 2 hours before the trade deadline. I'm expecting a lot of movement, but we've already seen some pretty notable names being shipped off to a new team here. We're going to talk a little bit about that here today. We're also going to talk about some of our takeaways from week 9. We're going to look onward into week 10, look at some waiver wire selections that we're looking at, as well as some buys and sells and maybe some potential cuts here. So we have a lot to discuss here today, Russ, and we'll kick it off with Monday Night Football, some takeaways from that Cowboys Arizona game. I'll be honest with you, man. If I have the Cardinals, I have a decision to make, right? Like, are we gonna are we gonna continue rolling with Jakobi Brissett, or when Kyler Murray is healthy, is he going to be the guy under center? And they've already said that when Murray is healthy, he's going to be their guy. But now I start to question is, are they gonna, he's still not 100%. Let's wait until he gets 100% type thing, or how do you view this shaping out? And then some of your takeaways from Monday night.
Jakobi Brissett's been in our lives for a long time, right? I'm looking at it now. 2016 was when he came into the league, had a few good years with the Colts while they were sort of tanking. I forgot about the Miami year, Mondo. Apparently, he was with Miami in 2021, had some decent production in Cleveland in 2022, and he's just been a competent backup forever. However, they do have a choice to make, because if they want to lose and they want to tank this season, do they put Kyler back in? Like, if you do the truth serum to the coaching staff and the organization right now, who do you have a better shot winning with right now? Is it Brissett or is it Murray? Because I kind of think it's Brissett. He looks amazing. It's not that he's more talented. He's not. He just runs the offense, throws to who's potentially open, has no rushing ability whatsoever. There's no upside or downside there. It's just nothing. And he just does what they want him to do. Whereas Kyler's sort of improv master there and don't throw it to Marv. So I'd rather have Brissett starting. It's year 7 of Kyler. I think it's over after this year. I think this coaching staff is trying to play for its job. I think Brissett's the guy, Mondo, but I kind of thought that before last night. He looked great. I know it's Dallas, but still.
Yeah, he did look good. Look, Dallas's defense, they've already started to address that, like through trade. We're seeing that they are fully aware. That's a good thing about them. Their self-awareness there in Dallas, right? Like they are fully aware that defense is not good right now. They've made some moves here in free agency to address that. But I agree with you. Like I look at Brissett and I feel like he's more of a stable quarterback for this team, right? He like it's kind of more of a stability thing. And if they're trying to win games, I do think I agree with you. I kind of think he gives you that best chance. Kyler Murray, I view him as a volatile quarterback. I don't think there's consistency there. From a fantasy standpoint, yes, we like it because of the rushing upside, the rushing element, all of that stuff. But when you're looking at this from an actual football perspective, I think Jakobi Brissett makes the most sense for this team as well. Especially, like you said, if they're really planning on moving on from Kyler Murray after the season. If this is if the Murray era in Arizona is over, I think that's the wise move for this franchise if they're trying to win games here in 2025. I'll tell you this, man. Like I talked about this with Ray on his show this afternoon. Make sure you're checking that out every noon between noon and 1 p.m. Eastern there at fantasyguru.com. And the backfield in Arizona, I don't want anything to do with this, man. Like I don't want DeMarcado. I don't want Bam Knight. Michael Carter, no, he had his opportunities at one point too here. Like these are the 3 running backs they've kind of been mixing and matching here. I cannot wait until Trey Benson returns because there's going to be that guy that we can actually trust in this backfield right now. I know we got a lot of questions this weekend about who to start. I view this as an emergency situation only until Trey Benson returns, right? Because it looks like they're going with a hot hand here. It looks like whoever's playing the best football that specific day, whoever makes the most sense for that specific matchup is who they're going to lean on here. Knight played more snaps. DeMarcado had more opportunities. DeMarcado looked better. Like, I'm out. What are your takeaways from this backfield? Like, do you trust Arizona's backfield at this time? Or are you like me, man? Are you kind of antsy to get that Trey Benson back and get the bell cow that we wanted?
Okay. We're at the point where I look at it like this. If you have a player on your roster that you would be happy if someone else was starting them, we got to cut them, Mondo. And I have multiple teams where I'm cutting every single player that is on that team, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But if someone is starting Bam Knight against me, I am happy. If someone's starting DeMarcado or Michael Carter, I am happy. And I think I'm not alone. I think that's pretty much everybody. If they see Zonovan Knight, they're pretty pumped that you're starting them against him. So This is like the illusion of fantasy points right now with a lot of these teams. We just have practice squad guys, not talented guys, supposedly getting snaps. No trust from the coaches. I mean, I look at that Chiefs backfield too. If you see any of those guys, you're kind of pumped. Like you get Kareem, if someone's starting Kareem Hunt against you, you're saying, okay, maybe they'll get 10 points like they did last week. But I mean, they're throwing CEH out there. They don't want any rushing production from that team. So I know I shifted to different teams here, but yeah, no, I'm out. Whoever it is, until it's Trey Benson back, I'd much rather be seeing that in an opposing team's lineup. So my suggestion, pretend they're not real. Just cut them out of the player pool.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point. Like, I mean, we even saw like Kimani Vidal. Like, if you're talking about these kind of backfields, right? Like when you get down to your third running back, your fourth running back in some of these backfields, like yeah, there's going to be usage and there could be some fun production from week to week, but it's not going to be stable, right? Like I don't view it as stable situations. And we'll talk about the Vidal situation a little bit later here on the podcast, but I echo what you're saying, man. Like for me, like these are the kind of players like I'd rather not even have on my bench, right? Like the Chris Rodriguez's of the world. Like I just don't no interest for me. I'd rather, you know what? Oh, if I don't have him, someone else, you know what? Great. You're right. 100%. You add him, you start them against me, and I'll try to survive the 10 to 12 fantasy points, if that, like, if that. So I completely agree with you as far as that's concerned. One more thing, like, I mentioned that the Cowboys are working to improve their defense. They're still going to be a bad defense, which means that they're going to allow a lot of points, which means that this passing game is going to be fun to watch all season long. Wheels up for CeeDee Lamb, wheels up for Dak Prescott, wheels up for George Pickens, wheels up for, Jake Ferguson. Like it's not going to maybe not be consistent for some of these guys. I do think Lamb is obviously a never week starter, and we know what Lamb is. You and I are big fans of Lamb, but it's just a good thing for the passing game here in Dallas because I do think it's going to continue to be a fruitful offense for fantasy purpose because just how bad the defense is. We've seen that with several other teams here across the NFL so far to start the season there. So, and yeah, I going back to Arizona. I think they should give Marvin Harrison more opportunities, man. Like did you see him make that corner look super silly in the red zone? Like, I mean, the guy stumbled. The route was spectacular. I saw clips of JSN's routes, and I saw videos of Mario Harrison Jr. These guys are polished route runners. Like they're very good. I feel like Mario Harrison Jr. is not being appreciated there in Arizona. And I do think that if the coach really wants to make this offense better, he's going to drop more and more plays for Marvin Harrison Jr. Like there's no denying the talents there, Russell.
No 100-yard games through the first nine
Hey.
weeks of the season. And you watch him play and you say, woof. So
Yeah.
this is where, Mondo, we have a huge advantage if you actually watch the games because this first two seasons is just birthing Mondo. There's just the mom who has 8 children at one time, the Octomom or whatever, just 8 at a time, just people who hate Marvin Harrison and Vantage, just everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And we've seen this with so many guys who come in with these high expectations where they are good. They're just not in the position to succeed. We're seeing a lot of this year. People are going to hate RJ Harvey. People are going to hate Travion Henderson. People are going to hate people don't like Ashton Genty, and he's on pace for like 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. So be careful with this stuff. Actually watch the games, or at least listen to us talk about watching the games. This is not a talent thing. This is a role thing. And if anything changes, there's going to be huge fantasy upside. Todd Gurley, my example for everything, 3.2 yards per carry in his second season with Jeff Fisher. Some would argue the worst running back in the league. And then he goes on to have Sean McVay, and everything changes, and it completely flips from the worst running back to the best running back of his era. purely because of situation. And if you watch Todd Gurley, you would say, yeah, Jeff Fisher was running him straight into the line every play. Of course he's going to be amazing. So, Marv, we suffer with you, brother. There's no guarantees this is going to get fully better if it goes back to Kyler, or even if it's with Brissett, as mentioned. Still hasn't had over 100 yards in a game, so it's not fun. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah, we see this a lot with a lot of players, man. You always go to Todd Gurley. Look, we saw with Jackson Smith and Jigba his rookie year, like the role wasn't there, right? He finished what as I think it was outside the top 40, if I'm not mistaken.
He is what he is. He was never a great prospect. 600 yards in year one. He's not breaking out like Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers. Everyone got to have their day. And I watched as a JSA. Everyone had their day.
Yeah.
And
now you're having
they're
your
not
year,
they're not
baby.
having their day anymore.
No, we're having the year, baby. It's not the day, it's the year, baby. Currently top three in the NFL PPR points per or PPR points there at the receiver position. So there you go. Russ, it was a brutal week, so we'll go. Before we go over some more takeaways, this is more of a Monday night thing. Let's go over some of these injuries, dude, that we saw this past weekend. And the one that I saw, man, I'll tell you this, I reflected on that one for a while. The Jayden Daniels one, watching him go down like that, man, that arm bent very awkwardly. There's no timetable in his return. I said this morning. I'm not sure if he returns this season. I'll be surprised. I know it's in the non-throwing arm, which is a positive for his, the long-term outlook here. Um, but if this team doesn't look, this team is dealing with injuries. McLaurin has missed time. I mean, Luke McCaffrey went out as well on Monday night. Or not Monday night, I'm sorry, Sunday night. So they have a couple of injuries. I don't know if he returns. Marcus Mariota is going to take over there. Any takeaways from this injury? Like, do you expect him to come back this season?
Please, no.
Yeah.
Please be done. Please be done. This man is just strung out. He has 8 different body parts that are hurt right now. Get him to next year. Get some upside. There's some good receivers in the draft. Get him some weapons. McLaurin kind of abandoned him this year. He's working with Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Royal or Jalen Lane or Jalen Royals. I don't know. One of the Jalen's. And, he's got no running backs. I know we all like Bill. Bill's good if Jayden can enhance him. Debo is okay. We had that one cool game early in the year. No, it's over. And, he was set up. Seattle's defense, that's the big storyline here, is you don't want to, they are a nightmare to play against. Super physical, amazing talent, great unit there in the secondary. And really, Mondo, what happened to Jayden this year is the schedule. They made that playoff run last year. They made the playoffs in his rookie year, had a super easy schedule. And this year, you look back and you say, that Packers game, brutal. The Chargers, the Seahawks, like, these are not easy teams, man. They're getting beat up in these games. So that is, when we talk about the Chiefs and they've been surviving the last couple years, it's because they play a brutal schedule every year because they got that first place schedule. So hopefully, let's get last place again, Jayden. We'll get you a nice, easy schedule again. But a reminder, my initial read on Jayden was, super thin. There's no way this is going to work in the NFL. He swindled me, Mondo. I fell in love with him last year. He was so good. It is looking horrible. I fell for RG3 too. Like, I was all in on RG3. And, these thin running quarterbacks, not everybody's Lamar. Somehow Lamar's done it. Not everybody's Lamar.
No, and this is like, it's like dancing the waltz. You go forward, you go back, and I don't even know how to dance it. I don't even know if I'm doing it right, but that's what this feels like with Daniels. And I think you said something there that really hit home for me, right? Like, that was a concern for everyone, I think. It was just
Totally.
not you. It was everyone who was concerned about durability because of his frame, because of his playing style, right? He likes to run the football. He's a smaller frame quarterback. And in the NFL, you have to protect yourself. Like, They even say Josh Allen is a big guy though. Like, okay, so if he wants to be physical, okay, but he's a big guy. You're talking about Jayden Daniels. He's not that big. So I think his playing style alongside the schedule this season has really impacted him and his production this year. And I think this is why you've seen him miss several games this season because of that. I expect him to miss the remainder of the year. That's me speculating, though. Nothing is confirmed, nothing is concrete. That's just where I stand because at the end of the day, if Washington doesn't have anything to play for later down the road, there's absolute no reason to bring in Jayden Daniels back in. I would just give him the year off and get ready for next season if I'm Washington and I have nothing to play for here. A couple of other notable names going down this week. Puka Nacua chest injury. Initial reports suggest he's okay. The Rams are blowing out the Saints, right? So like he didn't need to come back into this game. Obviously, monitor practice reports, but I'm not overly concerned. He is someone that's always dinged up, though, so just keep that in mind there with Nicole. Brian Thomas Jr. dealing with a low-grade ankle sprain. He is expected to suit up in week 10, but obviously nothing is for sure there. So it's another situation where you're monitoring the practice reports. Tucker Kraft tore his ACL. He's out for the season. That was a tough one there. I'm expecting Luke Musgrave to step into that number one tight end role for Green Bay. I don't expect Musgrave to produce the same exact numbers that Kraft was, but I expect a very similar role. Whether the efficiency is going to be as Kraft's was, that remains to be seen for me. And then you have Kayshon Boutte hamstring injury considered day to day. Matthew Golden shoulder injury day to day. Aaron Jones dealing with an AC joint sprain. He's expected to play with that as well. And then Cole Kmet and CJ Stroud both concussed. I think with these kind of injuries, you know the drill. It's you at least missing one game when you're in the concussion protocol. For the most part, many players don't return after that 1 week. So I would expect at least Stroud and Kmet to miss one game. Davis Mills expected to start for Houston should Stroud miss. And Colston Loveland wheels up for him if Kmet misses any time. As far as any of these injuries are concerned, are any of these notable to you as far as it changes the entire dynamic, or are none aside from the Tucker Craft one all that serious in your opinion?
I was just gonna say the Tucker Craft one. You're probably safe. You're probably getting saved from yourself not starting Brian Thomas. I don't know what's going on, but it has been really bad.
Yeah.
Tucker Craft was one of the best players in the league this year when healthy. He had two big games followed by injuries. It's the same pattern. In week two, really broke out as like, oh wow, this is gonna be a huge year. It just sucks for this Packers team because when healthy, Christian Watson left this game with a concussion. They've been healthy for zero combined games, Mondo. Jaden Reed went out after week two. Now Kraft's out for the season. Christian Watson just comes back, has a huge game, and then leaves again. It just sucks for the Packers. They cannot stay healthy. They need Jaden Reed back in a bad way. We saw what Love was looking like. Once you lose Watson, once you lose Kraft, now we're back to Romeo Doubs and the Wicks and the they got 50 guys that all look the same, Mondo, right? Then it's like, I don't know. It's back to I'd probably just rather other people be starting those guys than me having to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm okay with Dobbs just given his role. Like I feel like he gives you a
Sure.
safe floor, but other than that, I think it's very volatile. As far as Musgrave is concerned, like if you lost Kraft, I'm okay with going after someone like Musgrave. I do think he's going to
Mhm.
cement himself in a pretty decent role. Again, I just the production from a production standpoint, I don't expect that high end ceiling that we were seeing from Tucker Kraft there at all. And I agree with you with Brian Thomas Jr. Like, I got asked this morning on Discord, like, should I trade for Brian Thomas Jr.? Like, hey, no. Like, outside of Dynasty, I'm not in the business of trading for Brian Thomas Jr. Not only is he injured, there's just something there, right? Like, there is something beyond the surface that we're seeing. Like, right? Like, I don't know what it is, but he doesn't seem the same guy he was last year. It doesn't seem There seems like there's something going on there in that locker room, whatever the case may be. I mean, there was reports at some point that he might get traded, right? Like that's how far we've come with these kind of reports with Brian Thomas Jr. So, if you're holding him, you're stuck with the bag. If you don't have him, don't go and trading for him, even if you can get him on cents to dollar. That's the way I see it right now. Russ. Talking about trades, baby. All right, the trade deadline, we said this at the beginning of the show. What's today? We've had some notable names. We'll talk about some of these and kind of the impact on what we think. We were talking about Brian Thomas. We were talking about the Jaguars. And guess what? They went and they got Jakobi Meyers from the Las Vegas Raiders there. So Myers is now with the Jaguars. For me, this is pretty simple, right? I think, he's going to step into that Parker Washington role. Parker Washington running the primary of his routes out of the slot. Myers ran all or the majority of his routes. I think it was over 70% of his routes from the slot there during his time in Las Vegas this season. Um, I'm expecting him to be that slot receiver. Now, how quick is that transition? How many snaps is he going to play the first game with the Jags? That remains to be seen. But I think when you're looking at this from a long-term perspective for the remainder of the season, like I do envision him working as that primary slot receiver there for Jacksonville. And Parker Washington, who I thought was going to be a good waiver wire candidate this week, moving forward for me now. So how does this change the landscape there in Jacksonville with Myers now in town?
So, in theory, the highly athletic deep threats should have been the best combination for Trevor Lawrence. However, in the NFL, when we actually watch these games, when we watch what Trevor Lawrence actually is, he's best when he's dinking and dunking and he's getting it moving and quick passing and all this stuff. And the best weapon he's had, the best connection he's had with a receiver is Christian Kirk, especially when Christian Kirk was healthy. So when I look at Jakobi Meyers, is he better than Christian Kirk? Probably not when Kirk was in Jacksonville early on, but he's right there with him. And this is a perfect combination. We know Jakobi Meyers is going to catch these passes. I don't know what's going to happen when De'Ami Brown gets a target. And Parker Washington did have a good game last week, but it was not... it was not a consistent thing for him. He is a good player. I like Parker Washington. Great return man. Can be a solid weapon in this offense, but I think he slots in much better as a third receiver than a one, So with Brian Thomas, with Travis Hunter when he comes back, with Washington, with some of these other weapons, Myers is a perfect fit. Whether these guys are out or in, this is going to be a huge, huge help for T-Law. So, fantasy-wise, I like Myers, but this is a team fit. I love their young GM there. I forget his name, Gladstone. This is a perfect fit for football.
Yeah, and I think you said it best, right? Like from a fantasy standpoint right now, I like the move, but I don't know how much of an upgrade that's going to be for Myers, right? Like going from the Raiders at the beginning, at least the beginning of the season, the role he had at the beginning of the season, right? Like things kind of the train came off the tracks in Las Vegas, and we saw that, but I still think he's going to be a reliable fantasy asset for fantasy managers once he gets, in the rhythm of things here in Jacksonville. It could take a game, it could take two games, but I think once he gets to, the hang of the offense, once he understands everything, I think he is going to play a role. We know that Travis Hunter's out. Thomas Jr. is dealing with an ankle sprain. So there are injuries to the receiving group here in Jacksonville. But I do think he's going to, like the biggest impact he's going to have is on Parker Washington, the long-term view there. I love the next move we're going to talk about here, by the way. Rashid Shaheed going to Seattle, dude. Like, I absolutely love that move. They have Jackson Smith and Jigba that we've already talked about, who one of the best receivers in football this season. He's playing like that right now. And he's more of a, yes, like he can go and stretch the field, but he's a possession receiver. He's going to get pretty much everything you throw in his direction. And then now you have the speedster Shaheed who can make one reception and turn that into what? 50 yards and a touchdown. Sam Darnold is looking really damn good in Seattle. I'll be 100%. I have my concerns. I have my reservations with him. He's looking really good right now in Seattle. I think helps their offense. I don't see how this impacts Jackson Smith and Jigba. I actually think it helps Smith and Jigba. I think this helps Shaheed as well. He was catching passes from Tyler Shook and Spencer Rattler to Sam Darnold. Pretty decent upgrade there. All right. So look, I still think Shaheed's going to probably be volatile from week to week. Um, but I do think that there's going to be a maybe even safer floor, and maybe you're getting 10, fantasy points, 8 to 10 fantasy points more consistently than his time there in New Orleans. So I like him. If you're hanging on to Shaheed, or you were, if he was someone on your roster, I think you should be very happy with this move. Obviously Horton, who had multiple touchdowns this past week. It was If you didn't play him this week, sorry, that's it. That was your chance. That was your window of opportunity. Shaheed's in town. Horn's not going to have a role here. That's my take on this. Any thoughts on that?
Uh yeah, I still like Horton as a deep threat. You mentioned it though. They just needed depth. They needed another guy. Cooper Kupp is older, long in the tooth there, has a lot of injuries built up over a long career here. And I just like the play. Again, for fantasy, it makes it complicated. For real football, this is a great move. It's just adding another deep threat. So you have Shaheed on one side and Horton on the other, both running deep routes for now. And we know Horton's legit. And so what our defense is going to do, you have JSN, Shaheed, and Horton. That is a nightmare. I just don't know how good Kupp is at this point from an injury and health standpoint. So that's really what we're looking at there. So love the play. They only had 5 receivers to begin with, so this is just adding another one. I like the play here.
Yep, I agree 100%, man. I think this is going to help Seattle quite a bit. Not this is not from a fantasy standpoint, but I do think we should talk about it. Sauce Gardner traded there to the Colts. I mean, the Colts are making a run for it, right? Like that's what it is. This is their biggest weakness in the defense, which is their secondary. They've been vulnerable through the air. Gardner dealing with a concussion or whatnot, but we know how these injuries are. It's not long term, especially for players that don't have a history with concussions here. So they gave up a lot to get Gardner. Okay. AD Mitchell was one of those that was included in there, and a pair of first round picks. All right, like that's a lot for Gardner, but their window is now. Like Indianapolis saw this and they said, we need the help now. What do you think about this trade? Do you think that this is going to improve this Colts team and really give them a chance to, make a run at the Super Bowl this season?
Why not? You got to fire if you're the Colts. This is a great opportunity. You're probably not as good as your record says. Who cares? Go for it. Try to win, right? I mean, we're going to find out about Daniel Jones as soon as this week. I'm on record. This is an enormous week for the Colts. They're coming off a rough loss against that Steelers team, and now we're moving on to week 10 to a game where they should win. They should win against this Falcons team, Mondo. They're 6.5-point favorites. This is where we find out. It's a Berlin game, kind of a weird circumstance. Daniel Jones, if he can get over this hump, we're going to the playoffs. Everything's good. We're locking in. If they lose this game, the wheels could start to fall off. I mean, the wheels fell off last week, Mondo. We just put them back on. We're saying, okay, we're going to find out this week because that was a tough matchup. This Falcons team is weird. If Daniel Jones starts to make a lot more turnovers and it's kind of a mess, if they go to 7-3, Mondo, it's going to be a whole different look at this season. And it could start to completely crater. And then the Jags are 6-3. If they win, it's tied for first. So I love the move. You got to do it if you're the Colts. You got to fight for that playoff spot. So I think, and AD Mitchell, what do they care about that at this point, right? He got one opportunity in his entire year and a half here in Indy, and then he fumbled it out of the end zone, and they're done. So I don't know why they drafted him, Mondo, if that's what they were going to do with him, but they were done with him from the beginning, seemingly.
They drafted him to get Sauce Gardner. That's what they did. They knew it was going to be in the cards. They were like, yeah, you know what? We're going to be able to trade AD Mitchell to get Sauce Gardner at some point. But I agree with you. I'll say this, just kind of like talking about that game in general. Like Pittsburgh's defense looked like the Pittsburgh defense we're used to seeing. Like they apply the pressure. Like that defensive line got the best of the Colts offensive line. And I posted this in the recap article. Jones was pressured a season high 18 times in that game, dude. Like that was it was nothing we've seen like this season from him. He's been playing with a clean pocket. He hasn't gotten as much pressure, and it was just really bad. So he attempted 13 passes in those 18 times that he was pressured, 6 of 13 for 88 yards and 2 interceptions during those 18 pressures, dude. Insane, like how quickly, right? He was sacked 5 times in that game. He
Yeah.
was hit, I think it was another 6 or 8 times. Like it was one of those games where you're like, fuck, like poor Daniel Jones. Yeah, I agree with you. A bounce back is in order here for them this week. Jets also traded away Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys. You mentioned you like that move as well. So basically, Jets saying, "Hey, we're a dumpster fire. We're just gonna get all of our defense." Making this an interesting target now moving forward. It was already a defense we were targeting, but now it helps obviously the passing game for the Jets because they're going to have to be passing a lot there. Any thoughts on that for the Dallas Cowboys?
So sometimes with teams that are winless or the Jets are 1-7, the good players don't even play that well when there's no motivation. I mean, if we've seen that Bengals defense just giving way, there's some players that will remain nameless, but there's some Bengals fans with spotlighting plays of guys just kind of letting runs go and maybe not covering routes as hard as they should. And so when a team gives way like the Jets have, when you look at Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, what are they playing for on this team, right? They did get a win, but Quinnen Williams, awesome player, but like, what are you really trying to just plow into these offensive linemen 50 snaps a game when you're 1-7 and you're like, my long-term health, I'm sacrificing my long-term health for this garbage, and you watch a pass sail out of bounds on third down. It's like, what am I doing? They are people, right? Like we think of it as Madden sometimes, but these are people. We're all people. We know what it's been like when you're on a losing team. You're like, not really pressing as hard when there's nothing there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sauce Gardner all of a sudden looks like his first couple years Sauce Gardner on a new squad, and then Williams is amazing. So love it for the Cowboys.
Yep, I agree with that right there. All right, let's quick couple of takeaways here from this past weekend. For me, Rico Dowdle. Look, the Panthers said they were going to give him the bulk of the workload. They were going to make some changes on how they distribute the usage in his backfield. I, for one, was skeptical, right? Like these kind of reports, you always say, is it true? Like they were rolling a 50-50. Well, you know what? They were not lying to us. Dottle just, I mean, he dominated the usage out of this backfield here. He had 28 opportunities, 25 rush attempts to be targets, exploded for 130 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns here this past weekend. I mean, is he their running back moving forward, Russ? Like, is he the guy moving forward here? And if so, what are you doing with Hubbard at this point if you're a fantasy manager?
What timeline are we in, Mondo? Why is Rico Dowdle? And it's not like they're just well blocked plays. They are well blocked. This is a great running game, but he looks fantastic. So I don't know what's gotten into Rico Dowdle the last 2 years, but I will just admit that he looks great and he's awesome. And I guess we just accept that. And he has bullied Chuba Hubbard. Poor Chuba, man. This was supposed to be his year. He signed that extension. No Jonathan Brooks this year. And he just got absolutely destroyed by Rico in this competition. So they need to use him. He is their best player on offense other than Tet. And it's his job. He's an RB1 rest of the season. Mondo, he's got like 1,000 yards with 4 starts. It's a lot. 860 yards. It says 9 games, but he's only started 4 or 5 games. So Yeah, he's an RB1.
And what's mind blowing is this weekend it wasn't the Dolphins, it wasn't the Cowboys, like it wasn't like one of those like you look at it was against the Packers, like a respectable defense, right? He's just been playing great, like you said, like he's right now. You look at the miss, like the I'm sorry, the explosive runs. He has 19 runs of 10 plus yards. That's currently fourth in the NFL. He's behind. Look at these names he's behind: Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, and J.K. Dobbins or whatever. But that's fine. But he's in good company right now, right? Like Rico Dowdle's playing good football. I agree with you. I think that so long as he's healthy, he remains their starting running back. He should have been their starting running back even when Hubbard came after the way he played. I guess they were doing good by Hubbard, right, and giving him that opportunity. But it was pretty clear that one running back was far better than the other. There was no denying it. Even in the limited opportunity that Rico had after Hubbard returned, he looked better. Like, so
Yeah.
I think that this is it. This is the way I view it. If you have Hubbard, you have a good handcuff, right? You have a good backup running back. If Rico Dowdle were to miss time, you kind of know that the usage is going to go to Hubbard. So he's someone I would continue to hold, but not someone I am in any way, shape, or form starting in any lineup here, outside of maybe 32 teams where you have no other option league. So that's where I'm at there. You mentioned the Bengals defense, like when you were talking about Dallas. Joe Flacco. If I told you, right, that Joe Flacco would come out and throw 470 yards, right? Four touchdown passes and a couple of interceptions, completing 31 of 47 pass attempts and putting 42 points on the board for the Bengals, I would probably bet that you say, damn, they must have won by a lot of points. Well, they did not. They ended up losing that game for us. And you mentioned that defense. Like I posted this in the article, the recap article. The Bengals, they missed 15 tackles for 133 yards on Sunday, including 35 yards on that last touchdown drive to Colston Loveland, where they seemingly won the game because of that drive where he went for 58 yards and a touchdown there. I mean, it was abysmal to watch that Bengals defense play, but I was excited to watch their offense play. Give me your takeaways from this game. The Bears came back. Caleb Williams had a great game there. Monangai, I mean, listen, we talk about this all the time, right? Like, you just trust the backfield, trust the systems. Monangai came in and had himself a day covering for the injured Swift. He rushed for 176 yards there. Great game for the rookie running back. I Yes, he's not going to play the Bengals every week, so just keep that in mind. But the usage, 26 rush attempts, that's the number I'm looking at here. If Swift misses any more time, I'm expecting Monangai to continue to operate as that featured back. Where do you stand with this game? How do you what's your take from this game?
Um, this actually, this was like a college football game. That's how bad the
Yeah.
defenses were, but not just a regular college football game. This was like, so obviously in college, there's not as much depth, right? And usually defenses have like one or two guys that hold everything together. This feels like a college defense that lost their guys and they're just playing walk-ons and practice like and just signing dudes off the out of the stands. Mondo, I'm out there playing a couple snaps. Just I can go miss T Higgins. I can go let Monangai run me over or Colston Loveland run for 50-yard touchdowns. So I don't know. It was really bizarre. I don't know how it gets better for the Bengals. This has been their last month. They are historically bad. So Monangai, 6.8 yards per carry, sort of. Right? Sort of. It looks
Yeah,
good, sort of.
correct.
But real defenses are not going to allow that to happen. He looked great. Him and Swift going to be awesome rest of the season. That running game looks fantastic, even against teams in previous weeks. They were doing this. It was just split before, so they were running for a solid amount of yards every week. So I do like that. It's good to know we have a full featured back if Swift is out. The rest of it, Mondo, is just funny money, right? We can't use this for the next weeks.
No, no, absolutely. We get a lot of Caleb Williams questions, right? And I said this on Sunday night with you and Fancy on Sirius XM. when we discussed this situation. Like I still view Caleb Williams as a hit or miss, like weekly quarterback. Like he's very matchup driven for me. He's had four really good games, then he's had four not great games this season. Someone who is volatile. Someone this morning said in Discord, Jackson Dart or Caleb Williams. I feel more comfortable starting Jackson Dart each and every week than I do
That's a
Caleb
tough
Williams,
one.
right? Like because I feel like Williams has a little bit more volatility. He has the better supporting cast. He has the a great coaching staff. He has like the situation might be better for Caleb Williams, but Jackson Dart finds a way to get the production. He has yeah, I mean he's running like crazy. Like he has that rushing element to his game. They're playing catch up a lot there in New York. Like I just feel like there's a stable floor with Jackson Dart, and you don't get a stable floor with Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is going to be inside the top 15, 16, from where you view him at each and every week. But there's going to be weeks where he can produce outside the top 20, where I don't really see that too much with Jackson Dart. Kind of going back to Daniel Jones, like someone who a lot of people weren't sure he had a bad week. He was still what? I think he was QB 16, if I'm not mistaken, or QB 15 this past weekend. So, like, you're still getting a pretty safe floor when you have someone like that. Whereas Williams, and I'm pulling up the numbers as we speak, right? Like you look at it, so he's been 9-20, 2-25, 10-27, 18-1. Like it's been a fucking roller coaster of a ride with Caleb Williams in this production. And I kind of prefer, like, if I'm going to stick with one quarterback the rest of the season, I prefer a little bit of safer floor. And this is the prime example. We talked about Jackson Dart. Much safer here. 13, 16, 4, 3, 13, 7. So, like, now you're talking about, yeah, he sometimes finishes outside the top 12, but he's never giving you like a 20 plus, like when he's starting. And that's kind of what I want. So, yes, in matchups like the Bengals, in matchups like that, sure, Caleb Williams could set the world on fire, but I don't really trust him here on a week to week basis still. I think he's very matchup driven. So if I have the opportunity, and we'll talk about waivers and stuff like that, if I have the opportunity to add one of the two, it's going to be Jackson Dart for me. I just think that there's a safer floor between the two. On the other side, Joe Flacco and company, I mean, that passing game is going to be intact the rest of the season. They're going to have to throw the ball 40 times each and every week. That defense, I think I could gain 10 rushing yards on this defense. I really do, and I'm not that fast. All right. With good blocking, I think I might be able to get maybe not 10, but maybe like a yard or two. All right. Maybe a yard or two here, Russ. Um, let's talk about the another situation. Let's talk about Jackson Dart, actually. He again delivered for fantasy managers. Like it's not great. He's not super accurate. He's missing throws, but from a fantasy standpoint, he's been um, very stable. Would you be comfortable starting him as your QB1 the rest of the way?
Yes. Yes. And he's shown it with and without Cam Scatterboo. It's the rushing Mondo, and we
Yeah.
saw this with Jayden Daniels last year. We saw this with a lot of we saw this with Mitch Trubisky Mondo. Mitch Trubisky was never good, but he had a top 7-ish fantasy season purely because he was running. Now I have higher expectations for Dart, so don't hear that and say he's Mitch Trubisky. But the point is, if you're getting those 5 to 10 rushing attempts every week, it's just a huge advantage on everybody else. We talk about Caleb. And before this game, everyone was crapping on Caleb because he hadn't thrown a passing touchdown in the 2 prior games. So, Dart is what he is for this year. He's got no weapons really on the outside. People want it to be Darius Slayton. I want it to be Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton wants it to be Darius Slayton. Unfortunately, Darius Slayton is Darius Slayton. So
Yeah, I agree with that.
that's
Yeah.
that.
It's not. It hasn't happened. I don't think it's gonna happen. It will maybe happen one week, right? But that
It's
one
gonna
week,
happen. Oh,
and then just
one
the
week
week
for
that he's on
sure.
your bench. He's on your bench that week. It's gonna be
Like week
like,
14,
yeah,
some random week like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just what you can do is just keep hitting the DFS value button there, and that's it. Just hit the value button. Don't start them in your weekly leagues. Um, there. So yeah, I agree with you, man. Like I think Dart's fine. I do think there's going to be growing pains along the way, though. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to be pretty all season long. I think there definitely will be some down weeks, but I do think the floor is pretty steady there for him. Um, Travion Henderson got the opportunity with Ramondre Stevenson out. really didn't capitalize from the opportunity. I don't think he had a great game, but it wasn't terrible. Um, what do you think about him? Like, do you think Henderson is, you know, carving out a role here? Do you think they're going to continue to give him more opportunities, or is this not what we wanted from Henderson this year and it's not going to happen? Where do you stand with him at this point?
I was really happy with what we got last week.
Yeah.
18 touches. He didn't get the touchdown. If he gets that touchdown and not Terrell Jennings, they were switching off here and there. If he gets that touchdown, it's a vastly different look at this week. Even so, 87 yards, 4 catches. That's 12.7 fantasy points. We're pretty happy with that as a Travion person. They're not going to feature him this year fully. You know, we're not going to get the Kyle Shanahan, Christian McCaffrey thing. But I think Ramondre, this was a passing of the guard week. Yes, the foot injury, but Ramondre has not been running well most of the season. They're looking for a way to make this happen. Here's the reality, Mondo. This offense is built around Drake May. He spreads it around every week. They're doing their best mix and match every week to make it confusing for these defenses. The running game's not been there all year, and part of that is the offensive line, so there's only so much Henderson can do. 4 catches, though. We like that. So it's all right. We're all right. It's all right.
I think you said it best, right? Like the production was not the high-end production we maybe wanted, but 75% snap share, 20 opportunities for Travion Henderson. I think it's pretty good usage here, right? Like, so I think the production, the fantasy points wasn't a huge victory, wasn't like a big, oh yes, we finally got it. But I look at it as like, you know what, 20 opportunities, 75% snap share. I'm good with that, right? Because now I know if Stevenson misses any more time, what we can expect from Henderson. And like you said, if he scores on Sunday, we're having an entirely different conversation, and everyone's going running wild, putting all their fab, all their clothes, all their everything on the line to get Henderson if he's still available on waivers for those leagues that he's still available on waivers. But that's not the case. He's still the usage though. For me, it is definitely something to keep be very excited about there with that usage. Kimani Vidal, you and I talked about a little bit about that, but he shit the bed. Like shit the bed in what is arguably the best running back matchup a running back can have against the Titans. Couldn't get anything going. They lost Joe Alt. He averaged 2.5 yards per carry in that game, dude. Like that is not good. Nah, no bueno. As I wrote about Cam Ward in the weekly recap article, no bueno for Kimani Vidal. Jared Patterson, he stepped in. He looked a little bit better, showed a little bit of life. Now we know Omari and Hampton isn't going to return until after the Week 12 bye. So what are we doing here with this backfield? Are you going back to Kimani Vidal? Is he someone that now you're only considering in emergency situations? Like, where do you stand with this Chargers backfield, who also lost a key piece of their offensive line this week?
Here's the problem with anyone on the Chargers offense. If it's not working, they have 5 other guys they can try this with right now, whether it's Aronda Gadsden, Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, Trey Harris. I mean, and then we're getting Omari and Hampton back pretty soon. So some weeks it's been Vidal, though. Some weeks those plays have worked. It's all about what the defense is doing. In reality, it was hilarious, Mondo, because the Titans got up. They had those 2 special teams and defensive touchdowns. And even up, and even with 14 points, it still felt like they were losing 45-3. The Chargers were treating this like, yeah, we're basically running out the clock, where Herbert only passed 29 times. It was like they were basically like, this team's pathetic. And we should all think that at this point. That's what this Titans team is. You know, Vidal he was running into a defensive line that knew they were running, and it was just a mess. So it's not all Vidal's fault. In games where teams are more competitive, he'll be all right. But Hampton is really the lingering comeback here.
Yeah, I agree. I still think Kimani Vidal will get like the opportunities, right? Like I don't think they're just going to completely abandon him. But I do think that there are weeks like the one that we saw this weekend, right, where there's going to be some frustrating performances out of it. I've already seen it now multiple times. So, yeah, it was not pretty there. Any thoughts on Brock Bowers returning this week and his performance? And now that Myers is out, could we safely say 10 plus targets on a week to week basis for our guy Brock Bowers there?
You know that Ron Swanson meme where he's talking about the eggs or the bacon or whatever, and he's like, "No, I want all your bacon." She's like, "Oh, okay, an order of bacon." No, I want all your bacon. That's how I feel about Brock Bowers.
Bowers is getting all the bacon, baby. That's it. Like
Ah,
that was super fast. Like you see how
he is
quickly.
so good, and we were robbed of a half season of greatness, but we're back. And you know what? Geno Smith absolutely reeks, but if he just throws to Brock Bowers every time like he was supposed to, it'd be all right.
Yep, I
It'd be all
agree
right.
with I agree with you 100%. I agree. Just throw the ball to Bowers, the guys.
Just,
I don't no Tucker. I don't care about Trey
just,
Tucker.
just right,
Just look
just right to him.
20 times. Just straight like what they did with in New York last year with Malik Neighbors. Like precisely what they did with Malik. You know what? Stop it. I dare you to stop it. I'm going to get the football in that man's hand, and I'm going to dare you to stop him. And they're not going to be able to stop him. You can't stop that guy.
So like
So,
Joe Flacco with Chase, right? Gave him
yes.
like 40 targets in those first couple games. Just do that. Literally, just every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to make it fun. Like,
Yeah.
give him the ball, hand it off to Genty. Throw him the ball,
Yeah.
hand it off to Genty. Like,
That's it.
that's what you need to do in Las Vegas. That's it. I would 10 offensive linemen. That's it. Forget this. Let's protect Gino. We got 1 versus 4 out there. Bowers is 4 defenders. I don't care. Give me that. Give me that. Give him the bacon. um, any takeaways from JJ McCarthy returning back to action there? I mean, winning in Detroit, man. And I don't know if have you seen the video surfacing of the game ball, the video of the game ball, and he's looking angry there. Like people calling him a dog and stuff like. Look, I was a big McCarthy guy going into this season. He has not lived up to my expectations whatsoever at all. He's dealt with injuries. He's only played I think 3 games, right? Um, but I still believe the future is bright for McCarthy. I still believe in the O'Connell system. Like I still believe in this Vikings team. And although it wasn't the prettiest of games, he still like he got off to a really hot start. They kind of cooled off and then just made some big throws and like, it was kind of inconsistent play throughout the entirety of the game. I think winning this game is big for them, and I think it's big for his confidence, right? And I think we're gonna kind of see that catapult into the upcoming week. So I am okay with what I saw. Again, it wasn't the greatest performance by any means. It was still some indecisiveness. There was still some mental errors that he made. Still a work in progress without question. But I think this is the kind of win that could really take a young quarterback from being in an okay spot to being a really good spot within a short distance. And I think it's coming very soon for McCarthy. I think if he's out there on waivers and you're hurting at the position, especially two quarterback league, super flex league, something you should be considering. But any thoughts on his game returning to action this past weekend?
He played great. I know it doesn't look that way with the passing volume. Ran the offense very well. You mentioned it. They had their set plays like we know they do. The first like 12 to 20 plays are all pretty set. After those plays ran out, it dried up fast. But Mondo, there was a huge moment in that game. Third down to clinch the game. They let him throw, and he completed a beautiful pass to Jalen Naylor. And I was pissed because I had the over, and I needed the Lions to score. But it's so funny when you're gambling because you have this like, I need this to happen. But in that moment, I said, damn, that's a hell of a throw. I mean, that's a hell of a throw to Jalen Naylor. You guys got to go watch that. Third down and long. They could have just run it out and made the Lions use their final timeout. They threw it to clinch the game, Mondo. They trusted him. That was a big moment. So I was very impressed. And he made, those first couple drives, he was fantastic. So
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think the future is very bright for McCarthy, man. Like we forget, like we talked about earlier, we forget how like it's only been now he hasn't played a handful of games in the NFL yet. Like think about that. He's still
Yeah.
very raw. The potential without question is undeniable. I'll say this, it wasn't as pretty for Tyler Shook as it was for JJ McCarthy. I'm out on the Saints, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out. I was asked. I'm glad that Rashid Shaheed is out. Chris Olave, I think, is going to be very inconsistent moving forward. Um, any Saints takeaways?
I shared it all morning on Sunday that if I have a treehouse, right, and people are climbing up the things, and there's a sign, right, like they joke about in the movies, like there's a sign, no girls allowed. No Titans, no Saints allowed on my fantasy team's rest of the season. I'm out. I'm happy if you're starting a Saint or a Titan against me. If you're starting Alvin Kamara, I am so happy you're starting Alvin Kamara. If you are starting Chris Olave, I'm sweating a little bit. That's not good. The rest, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, Alec Aomanor, who I like as a player, Cam Ward, the tight ends in Tennessee, Shamiri DK, great. I'm out on all of it, Mondo. I can't do any of it. Spencer Rattler had some fine games. This is a mess. They stink. They're not the worst teams we've seen this decade, but the Titans are pretty close. So
Yeah,
yeah.
they're really bad. Like Cam Ward has been up. I don't think people talk about it enough. Like, right? Like I feel like in years past they've been very like aggressive with the first quarterback when he's struggling. Like we saw with Bryce Young, like when complete bust. Like I have not heard anyone say Cam Ward is a bust. And man, he sure looks like a fucking bust so far. It's been very bad.
Well, because you watch those games and I don't even know. So I lived through the T-Law year one, watching every game and saying Tavon Austin is his number one receiver right now. This is a travesty. That's where we're at
Yeah.
with Cam Ward. Now, he may stink, right? He was not the best first overall pick of the last decade. So he might just be horrible, like you're saying. I'm going to give it another year, though. I'm going to give it another year.
Yeah. Maybe one more, maybe 2 more years. Let's go with 2 more years, right? Let's give it because this is a team that's not going to get better in a year at least. Um, any other takeaways here from this past weekend? Anything we haven't discussed that you want to kind of mention or break down or anything like that?
Whew. Um, Mondo, are the Panthers good? It's my last question for the week.
That's a
I
great
don't
question.
think so. That's a big win.
That was yeah, huge win. Like huge. I'll say this though. I that game, right? Like the Packers, I'm not okay. I'm not gonna
Oh,
discredit. I don't
they
like
pooped on themselves. Yeah, they pooped their diaper all over the. Well, there was no diaper. They just shit all over the Lambo. Yeah.
listen, yeah, they went through the diaper, buddy. There was full blown diarrhea that came out of the fucking Packers on Sunday. All right, there was no diaper. There was no defense whatsoever against the diarrhea that was coming out there. Look, like you can't go into the red zone and turn it over on downs. Nearly throwing a costly interception. It should have been a pick six, really. Then you can't go
Yeah.
and fumble, right? Like in the red zone in a game where it's that close, right? So are the Panthers for real? Like we've seen very different sides of the Panthers, and I think that's who they are. Like that's who their identity is. They're gonna come in and they're gonna play some really good games, and they're gonna come in and be the Panthers sometimes, right? Like that bad Panthers team we're used to see. The problem
Yeah.
with those kind of teams is as an opposing NFL team, you have to prepare for the best team of the best version of Carolina, right? Because when they bring out their best version, they play some pretty decent football, right? Um, so are they for real? No. Are they better than maybe we had thought they were going to be entering the season? I think so. I think that's the right answer. I think they're better than we anticipated they were going to be going into the season. However, they're not as good as sometimes they are advertised. This week precisely, I don't necessarily think that they played a bad game. I just think the Green Bay Packers played a terrible football game. And this is one of those games where they're going to look back and say, man, we missed on so many opportunities this weekend. Like, if you're truly trying to make a Super Bowl run, you cannot be one of those teams that makes those kind of, that misses those kind of opportunities on a consistent basis because
Yeah.
those little wins and losses, like they count, right? The wins, losses, they count for you. And that loss, that could come back and haunt. I'm not saying it will, but that come back and haunt them.
My final question for you, Mondo. Bo Nix.
Erratic is the word, baby. The word is
Okay, but
erratic. It's
7-2.
I love it. I mean,
They're good. I think
Bo
they're
Nix,
just really good, and I
yeah.
like his offense. And he's a nightmare to watch in the first half, but he's a hell of a player. I was not super high on Bo Nix coming out, but I'm in. I'm
He's
in.
doing really he's doing really well running this offense. From a fantasy standpoint, he has been erratic, right? Like he's been up
Yeah,
and down, kind of like what we
yeah.
talked about Caleb. He's been more consistent, right? Obviously, like than some of these other quarterbacks, but he's doing a really good job in Denver. This is a complete team, though, right? Like you look at this offense, it's a good offensive line. You have a really good backfield. Like I think that they found their guy in J.K. Dobbins. They found a great complement running back in R.J. Harvey, who really didn't talk about much here today. He's
RJ
had
Harvey gonna have the worst 10 touchdown season of all time. He's already got
yes,
he's already got
yes,
6 touchdowns, Mondo, and we haven't been able to use him at all. It
no,
sucks.
and I'm still not using him unless I have to. Absolutely have to. By the way, I'm not chasing those touchdowns if we're being honest. But to go back, like we forget, like Troy Franklin is here, Cortland Sutton is here. They added Evan Ingram. Like there are pieces in this offense, and then they have a really good defense. I know Sertan
Yeah.
is out right now, but still one of the better defenses in football. This is a really good team, bro. This is a really good team, and for me, winning against Houston this weekend, and it wasn't the blowout. But that was an impressive win. Houston is a very good defensive team as well. They lost CJ Stroud there in the game, which definitely helped Denver. But still, man, I've been pretty impressed with Denver. It hasn't been as clean, right? Maybe as
No.
we wanted to see it, or we maybe expected to see it based on Bo Nix's first season, but they're finding ways to win, man. Like, and at the end of the day, when you find ways to win, you're winning. That's all that matters here in this league. I'm very excited about Denver going forward. It is a tough division, right? Like they're in a tough ass division, but right now they're one of the better records, right? Isn't it? Wait, they're tied for the best record in the NFL right now, if I'm not mistaken. So, there you go. There you go. Denver Broncos, Colts, Bills, and who
They
else?
really
And the
could be
Patriots, right?
undefeated. They could be undefeated right now, Mondo. They
Oh yeah.
blew that Chargers game and they should have won that Colts game too. So crazy.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. All right, let's shift gears here and look at some waiver wire targets that we're looking to acquire this week, and we'll go position by position. Um, at quarterback, so I'll say this: if Jackson Dart, Matthew Stafford, all right, they might not be available in a lot of these leagues. If Jackson Dart and Matthew Stafford are out there right now, those would be my priority ads if you're looking at the quarterback position. You look at Matthew Stafford. I mean, we didn't even talk about his day against the Saints. He threw for 281 yards, 4 touchdowns, and completed 24 32 passes. Um, the third time in his last 5 games where he's thrown at least 3 touchdown passes. He's finished as a top 10 quarterback right now in 4 of his last 5 games. Probably not out there in a lot of leagues, but if he is out there, if you're in a single quarterback league and there's these kind of quarterbacks out there, definitely a streaming and viable option for you this week. If you don't have Patrick Mahomes who's on by and several other quarterbacks or injuries, whatever the case may be, you lost Jayden Daniels, someone to consider. Jackson Dart, you and I kind of already dove into him there. Other guys to consider for me this week, Sam Darnold, obviously coming off a nice game. He's someone that they just added a piece of the offense. He might fall into that same category as Dart and Stafford, might not be available there. So if he is out there, though, he's another one to consider. And then I'll list in the priority order of those three. It would be Stafford, Dart. They're 1A, 1B for me, and then Darnold. If they're not out there, I think Michael Penix is an interesting pickup and stream play this week. We talked about this Colts defense, and I know they added Gardner right now, and that's fine, but this is still a team that has struggled defensively through the year. I don't know if they're going to be able to play Gardner right now. They're top 5 in passing yards allowed, top 8 in passing touchdowns allowed, top 15 QB in three of his last four games. It has been Michael Penix, including two top 12 performances in that stretch. So he's played pretty good football there. I think if you're hurting at the position, he's someone I've recommended a lot in Discord as a pick up and play option. And then, of course, you talked about JJ McCarthy being another option that you could pick up and play if
Mm.
needed here. Any quarterbacks you're looking at off waivers outside of those guys?
I will just say you mentioned Stafford. If he's still on your waiver wire, keep in mind, okay, these are people, right? Matthew Stafford's 37 years old. And if you're watching these Rams games, they are throwing on the 1 yard line. And we don't see this much anymore, Mondo. As much as people like to crap on the new generation of kids, as we always do, because we're people and that's what we've done from the beginning of time, they don't care about who gets the touchdowns. They really do not. And that's why it's so annoying sometimes with these offenses, because the new age quarterbacks are just like, yeah, just whatever. Who cares? Like, throw it to the fullback. Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay are getting Matthew Stafford huge numbers. He has -6 rushing yards on the season. He has 5 passing touchdowns, 4 passing touchdowns, and 2, 3 passing touchdown games. They are doing this on purpose, Mondo. I'm watching these games, literally throwing on the 1 yard line, the 2 yard line, the 3 yard line. Kyron Williams is missing out on touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. So this is my last QB rant of the day. But if you want to start Stafford, McVay and Stafford are doing you good this year because they're just bombing it no matter where it is. So, yeah.
Kind of to echo what you're saying, I haven't gathered the data from week nine yet for red zone opportunities, but entering week nine last week, Stafford was tied for third most pass attempts inside the 20-yard
Dude,
line
it's
with
insane,
41.
bro.
With 41, guess what? He was also tied second for pass attempts inside the 10-yard line. Like, it's a big number. He's top five in the NFL in both categories, top three actually in the NFL in both categories. Pass attempts inside the 10 and inside the 20-yard line. So good little nugget there regarding Matthew Stafford. Russ, talk about some running backs that you're looking to pick up off waivers this week. If you know, and are you paying up for it? Like, if are you unloading the clip on anyone this week at the running back position? And who are you looking at?
Listen, 8 and 9 were the big bye weeks. We're back to pretty much normal. I'm going to be honest with you, Mondo. Not picking up these guys is probably a bigger advantage than picking them up. There's a lot of confusion this time of year. People are picking up 5, 6 running backs that all have like the Bam Knight roles. Stick with what you got, man. This is chaos. We got a lot of running backs that are still healthy in week 10. Pretty much the top 20 backs are guys we started the year with. We're looking at Saquon and Bucky Irving. If Bucky's out, Sean Tucker's better than Rachaad White, so maybe we can look at that, but I think Bucky's going to be back. So no, I'm going to be honest, man. I know we say there's waiver wire guys every week, and there probably are, but you're just causing yourself more chaos than good with some of these guys.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a week you need to spend up. I will say this. So Kyle Monangai is still available in over 30% of ESPN leagues. If he's
Oh,
out there,
wow.
yeah. I when I saw that, I was very
Okay,
surprised. Yeah,
that needs to be cleared up for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, like it's not a high percentage. Like my cutoff is usually 50%, right? Like if they're rostered in over 50% of leagues, that means that they're going to be most competitive leagues are going to be, taken. So like he's rostered in about 68%. Like this is when I checked this morning. Obviously, it could change from the time that we start recording, but it was I think about 68% or something like that. So he's been available over 30%, but still owned him the majority of leagues. If he's out there, you prioritize him. I think he's a very strong handcuff. I think we saw the kind of standalone value he could give you from a usage standpoint. I don't expect that kind of production every week. He's not going to play the Bengals every week. Um, I also want to say Trey Benson. There's not been any updates regarding his return. He is eligible to return as early as week 10, right? So they haven't opened his 21-day window yet from last I've read. There hasn't been any updates, but if he's out there, he's the kind of running back I like the idea of adding before that news comes out because it does give you that, that advantage of you already have him on your roster. You don't have to go and outbid everyone or to fight with everyone on waivers. So Trey Benson, he's out there, he's on waivers. And then it's just maintenance from then on out, right? Like Kareem Hunt, you mentioned it earlier. He's not super exciting, but he's going to give you that 10 to 12 fantasy points. Devin Singletary, a depth piece there if needed at the running back position. Tyron Tracy, he didn't do that great last week there for the Giants. We don't know what direction they can go with. Tank Bigsby, this is more so if you're a Barkley manager than anything else, right? Like to kind of secure that backfield. We saw Bigsby before the bye week take on that role when Barkley was out there. So that's another one to consider. And then Isaiah Davis, this is more if you have Brees Hall or if you think he's gonna get traded, before 4 p.m. today, sure. But outside of that, not many guys I'm looking at here. As far as and then Dylan Sampson, I've been asked so many questions about him. I'm not a Sampson guy myself. If Judkins were to miss any time, sure, he's going to get some opportunities. But again, this is a Browns team that I don't want to be invested in right now. That's where I'm at the running back position. Chop up some wide receivers here. I've been saying this guy's name each and every week, and I'm going to continue to say his name each and every week until he's 100% owned. Troy Franklin should be pretty much on every roster, even if you're not starting him. His role is solidified in this Denver offense. We talked about it a little while ago. Franklin's role is solidified here. I believe he had 10 targets this past weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And the production is not always going to be there for Franklin, but the point is that role is solidified. And if you have a player that's seeing that kind of usage, especially he leads the team in red zone targets. So he's someone that's often viewed and looked at inside the 20-yard line. So that kind of player I want. And you look at I went back now and I pulled up the numbers. So he has 10, 8, and 10 targets in his last 3 games. 28 targets in the last 3 games. That guy should not be on free agency right now. Alec Pierce is another one that I'm getting off waivers if he's out there. Romeo Dobbs is another player to consider off waivers. These are the guys I would, prioritize. And you have secondary guys like Demario Douglas, Josh Downs of the world. Trey Tucker now. I still don't trust Tucker. I know a lot of people are, oh, well, without Myers, I still don't trust Tucker. I don't trust anyone outside of Bowers in that receiving department there in Las Vegas. But if you're in a deeper league, if you're looking for maybe an emergency plug and play, you at least know that he's going to get some opportunities. But don't view it as a super strong play. And I keep saying Franklin because he's still, I think, available in about 25 to 30% of some leagues. So if he's out there, I think Franklin's a strong ad there. Any thoughts on the receiver position here?
Okay, you did all the good analysis. I have a different lane to go down. Mondo, there's somebody out there that sees that Rashid Shaheed trade, and they're saying right now, look at that. Is that Brandon Cooks? Oh my God, that's Brandon Cooks. I'm going to start Brandon Cooks this week. There's no Rashid Shaheed. And I'm going to go down this lane, and let me tell you, Mondo, just don't do it. Just no age 32 Brandon Cooks. Age 29 pre-concussion Brandon Cooks, maybe. Age 25 Brandon Cooks, heck yeah, I love Brandon Cooks. Someone's going to do that this year. Someone right now is looking at that depth chart and picking up Brandon Cooks, Mondo. Maybe it's a 14-team league. Maybe it's a 12-team league. Someone's going to do that.
I hope not. I hope
don't do that.
And that this is coming from
listen to Mondo, listen to Tyler, listen to Rich. They got a bunch of great analysis. Just don't, Devon Vele, don't do that. Don't do that, Mondo.
No,
Jakobi Meyers. Who are we going to look at for Las Vegas? We're going to look at Trey Tucker as the deep threat.
Everyone's going to go at Trey Tucker. Everyone is going to go Trey Tucker.
So we're going to look at Trey Tucker, and we're going to say, he's going to get a bigger role without Myers.
Thornton.
Mondo, Tyler Lockett is on this roster.
Oh,
don't do it.
Don't be that guy.
Okay, I do like Dante Thornton and Jack Batch. If one of those emerges, that would be fun. Maybe we get more snaps there. So I won't give them too much crap. And Geno Smith does do a lot of volume. But back to the Saints, guys. I know we see Brandon Cooks. That's not Brandon Cooks anymore. That's not him, Mondo.
that is
That's
an image,
yeah,
not
that's
not the
not yeah. It
that's not
looks like
real.
him.
That's the hologram. That's the
Yeah.
hologram. All right, that's not reality. All right, that is not reality. I agree with you 100%, dude. Like, don't do it. And this is coming from a Brandon Cooks guy, right? Like, I've always been a Cooks fan. Um, but like you said, we go back to the treehouse analogy that you use, right? No Saints, no Titans allowed in my treehouse. That's it, hands
just
down.
just don't do it. Yeah.
Let's look at some tight ends here this week. Obviously, Colston Loveland, I think, is a very strong ad if you
Tough.
need, right? Luke Musgrave, Mason Taylor, don't forget about him. If he's still out there, just coming off of a bye week here. So he's another one to consider off waivers. And then look, I'm gonna say a lot of people drop Hawkinson, a lot of people have dropped the Andrews, like those kind of tight ends have been dropped. If they're out there, these are guys you can add. Just understand what you are investing in, right? Like that's always going to be my thing. Like understand what you're investing in. They're volatile tight ends who are going to be hit or miss, and that's what they've been this season. Unfortunately, I thought Hawkinson was going to have a much better year. Has not lived up to the expectations I had for him. Still, someone in my home league, he's been my tight end since week one, and I'm still riding him out. Like that's kind of where I'm at because what's the point of swapping Hawkinson out for an Andrews or for a Mason, like another volatile tight end? I'm just gonna stick to my guns here, and that's what I do. Like, and that's what I would advise here. Like, if you're picking up one of these players, just stick it out with them. Like, stick if you have been playing the musical chairs with tight end, and imagine you bench Mark Andrews in his 2 touchdown week because he sucked the week before. No, 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 no. You got to stick it out with these guys. They're going to be volatile, not going to come clutch every week, but these are guys that they're going to have some decent weeks. So that's where I'm at the tight end position, if we're being honest. Like it's Loveland, short for me, that's a short-term thing until Komet comes back. They're kind of splitting the snaps there. We did see Loveland more in the snaps where they were passing, Komet more in the pass when they were on the snaps where they were running. So yes, he's going to have a role, but still not going to be on the field as often as you would want from some of your tight ends. So that's where I'm at. Like, it's not a great week for tight ends at the waiver wire position there. Where are you at with the tight end position?
The one thing I will say, Luke Musgrave, you mentioned him, drafted ahead of Tucker Kraft. I don't know why they drafted tight ends back to back. Was the starter over Kraft initially, and then he got hurt, and then Kraft emerged and didn't give up that role again. If there's a guy off that list you mentioned, it's probably Musgrave, and I wouldn't be afraid to start him this week. I actually think he's a pretty high floor play, even though he has zero production this year. They invested a lot in him, and now that Kraft is out of the picture, this does feel like a good chance for him to emerge. So he is a talented skill set. So I do like that play quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like you have to take into account Tucker Kraft 90% target share going, this season. I would assume that Musgrave sees a decent amount of that, right? Like maybe that 15 to 70%, even if it's not the same role, that 15, 17% there. All right, let's close this out with a couple of buys, a couple of sells here. If you're in the market right now, we know a lot of fantasy leagues have trade deadlines coming up. So if you're in the market to buy, name me a few guys that you're looking to buy on, like maybe cheap, maybe you're getting a good price, maybe you think that there's going to be, a better rest of the season outlook for some of these players. I don't personally like to look things from rest of the season. I say this all the time because things change so quickly in the NFL. So like I think it leads to a lot of mistakes when you're planning too far ahead. But if you're making trades right now, if you're actively trading, who are a couple guys you're looking to buy at this moment?
Okay. Number one, I'm going to get on the soapbox for 10 seconds, Mondo, and say trading and redraft is pure and utter chaos. Y'all are some sadistic MFers out there, man. Trading your best players for other people's best players and trading Genti, like trading Bijan for JSN and doing all the sicko. You guys are sickos. You are sickos. Not that it's not fun. I get it's fun. I'm just saying I've been burned so many times. I've been right too with trades, right? You get the right play, you dump your running back, he gets hurt the next week, and now you have a wide receiver one the rest of the year. You get the good side. I just the bad side of you being on the opposite end of that. I don't love it. I will say I'm buying Joe Flacco if you can get him on waivers. You probably can't, but I'm buying guys like that. Buying cheap guys. You mentioned Musgrave. Probably buying him. You probably can't get Bowers at this point, but I would try. Uh, and then you kind of look at guys like A.J. Brown, who people are probably fed up with him. If you can get him for really cheap, I would try to snag him off a roster. Um, but yeah, beyond that, man, I'm really quiet with trades and redrafts, so it's not something I usually do. If you can get Bijan, okay. Here's one thing I would do. If you can get Bijan coming off these two mediocre games, here, okay. My thought is nobody should do this if you're a Bijan owner. So that's where I don't even go there. If I were a Bijan owner, insta reject. But maybe someone's pissed out there. Someone's probably pissed out there after the last two games, Mondo. So yeah,
Dude, okay, so that's exactly where I look at this from, right? Like, and I love that you said that because it would never occur to me,
no,
right? Like, never occur to me to move from Bijan. Like,
I
never.
just set him in my lineup from week 1 to week
He
18.
might even
Even
be there on the
even
bye
if
week.
I'm out, he just
Yeah,
stays in the lineup the whole year.
yeah. Even on his bye week, I think I left him in my lineup, right? Like, who cares? I don't care. He's Bijan Robinson. But like you said, there are people that get fucking crazy. And it's like, hey, he has struggled the last 2 weeks. It was a great matchup against Miami. He sucked. It didn't bounce back the following week. And it's just like, okay, but it's Bijan Robinson. Like, what are you gonna do? Just like you said, and then you're also trading let's trade Bijan for Jonathan Taylor. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, why do you want to do this to yourself? I don't agree with that either. Look, man, like you just gotta stick with your horses. If you're trading Bijan, this is the way I look at it. You're upgrading your roster by doing that, right? Like you're a team that has a bunch of holes in your starting lineup, and now you're gonna plug in all those holes by giving away Bijan. I'm not trading away Bijan for another RB1 and then a backup, wide receiver. That makes no sense. And I talked a lot about this last week on the podcast. As far as trading, what I'm looking for, why trade, my thought process on trading, stuff like that. So that'll be episode 126 if you haven't checked it out. I talked about that there. But some guys I'm buying low on. I think Travis Etienne is a really good buy low candidate right now. The production hasn't been there. Coming off of a game where he really didn't, it wasn't a great game by any means. He had a little bit over 100 yards from scrimmage. But for me, what really stands out here are 22 rush attempts, 5 targets, 27 opportunities, right? 27 opportunities, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm buying low on someone like Travis Etienne. I'm going after the usage here. I still think I'm very optimistic about this Jaguars offense. I know you are too. So that's a player I'm buying low on. I love your calls too, as far as go out there, get Musgrave, go out there and get Joe Flacco if you need a quarterback. Another running back, Ashton Jeanty. You mentioned him, right? Like I feel like he's a good buy low candidate. I think don't look, he has not lived up to expectations. I think expectations were set too high for him this year, right? I think a lot of people look back at some of the performances from other rookie running backs in years past and they're like, oh, Ashton Jeanty is gonna be. I still look at the long-term outlook as a very positive one. I still think when you look at the usage there, it's there for Jeanty. So the opportunity is there. So he's another one I'm buying low if I can. And then that's kind of where I'm at. I agree with you of Bijan. If he's available in your league to buy low, go ahead and out there and buy him. A couple sell high candidates for me. Caleb Williams, I talked about it earlier. I think it's volatile, right? If you can get a quality piece, like if you're in a single quarterback league and you have Caleb Williams and another quarterback that you can rely on, right? This is a perfect week to sell someone like Williams, who is coming off a monster performance. You can maybe get, RB2. a wide receiver too. Like in a single quarterback league, finding the market value for these quarterbacks is very difficult. Every league is going to be different. It depends on the statuses of the teams. So there's going to be some leagues where maybe someone's willing to give you an RB1 or a wide receiver one for this quarterback because maybe they have four on their team. But there's going to be leagues where you might have to settle for an RB2 or wide receiver two, right? Or even a tight end one. Like really depends on roster context, what the other teams need, all that kind of stuff there. But he's someone I'm looking to sell high on there. Another player I'm looking to sell high on here is, look, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, um, it, it's going to be Devon Achane. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Miami, but you could get a lot for Achane, dude. Like, what happens when they switch the offense? Like, I think it's inevitable, right? That Tua Tagovailoa gets benched at some point this season. What then? Like Devon Achane has been at floor play all season long. He's one of two Dolphins players I trust. But man, if you can secure yourself a really good haul for Achane, which I think you can, and get into a situation that's slightly less volatile, I like the idea of that. I'm not settling like, but this is the thing. It's not pennies on the dollar here. We're going dollar for dollar, but this is one of those situations where if I can improve the situation for my player, I will.
So Achan for Bijan, call it a day.
I mean, if you can pull that off, wouldn't you? Like that's
Yeah.
pretty simple. You're trading RB1 for RB1, but like now you don't have to worry about the offensive line being a shit show. You don't have to worry about the quarterback situation all that much. You don't have to worry about durability because at the end of the day, HN is a smaller frame running back. He's been very durable so far, right? Like for the most part, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the team going in complete tank mode and then just shitting the bed the rest of the way. Like there are a lot of negative variables, that can happen here in Miami. So if I can upgrade that kind of position, like that would be the kind of trade I'm looking. I'm not going to give Achan to get Swift, right? Like I'm not going to go give Achan away for a wide receiver too. No, no, that's not what we're talking. I'm talking about you're getting a quality player in return for Achan to avoid some of the potential variants that could come down the stretch with Miami here. And you guys, you're selling.
Oh, again, Mondo. It's the same. It's the same thing. I do not think Tua's going to be starting much longer, so I agree with you there. Um, let's go through the league here. Selling. Uh,
I think
I am
Gadsden.
selling Daniel Jones.
Oh
I
no.
am.
Don't do
I
that to me.
am.
I'll buy them off you if you had them.
I'm not touching the Texans' offense at this point. Stroud got banged up. With Davis Mills, if he's playing, Nico's had a really weird year. I still think he's very talented, but not really what we're looking for. Brian Thomas, I'm totally out on.
Yeah.
It has been a horrible, horrible year. My boy Xavier Worthy, Mondo, the Rashid Rice people were right. I surrender. It's over. You guys got us. I'm adjusting. Rashid Rice is the man, and they're still
We
using
out.
Kelsey.
We
So
out.
I'm done. Anything Washington is done. And yes, Saints, Titans. I'm just out on complete teams at this point in the year. So Kyler, I'm totally done. Um, One guy I'm not done with is Kyron.
No, I like him as a buy.
People are not happy with Kyron because of Stafford's shenanigans. Stafford's fucking around here. But eventually these touchdowns are going to go back to Kyron. So you're going to be fine, Kyron owners. Don't sell him.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm in on Kyron too. I will say this: I don't mind selling a Ronde Gatson. I feel like this is a good week, like right because yeah, it wasn't great this week. Like we're used to him like setting the world on fire, but he's still very involved. You can make a strong case for him, and if I'm looking at the craft owner, like I'm looking at you craft owners, like if Gatson, if I'm a Gatson manager, I'm looking at the craft managers right now, and I'm like, hey, flinging this little guy up. Hey, here you go, ladies and gentlemen. We got Gatson right here. Fire sale. Looking for wide receivers. I'm looking for running backs. What do you got to offer, ladies and gentlemen? I'll do that, trade them, and then just add Luke Musgrave. Why not? Why not? Right? Why not? So Gatson, another player I am willing to sell here. Russ, why don't you let everyone know what you got cooking over there the rest of the week. I know you and I and Tyler Beaker, we're going to be chatting tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be chatting on the live stream. But what else you got cooking besides tonight's live stream over there at Fantasy Guru at 7 p.m. Eastern?
I don't know. We're doing a lot of stuff. Hang out, come to Fantasy Guru. We did trending yesterday. We got the live stream tonight. We're doing this pod. Dynasty rankings tomorrow. I go live on TikTok if you want to come hang out and argue with me and yell at me. Hey, listen, guys. If I get your start sit wrong, if you started Roma Dunze, just say, Russ, can I let my anger out on you? And I will say yes. Just fire away, pal. You got it. It's okay.
Send
It's okay.
pretzels their way. Send some
Yeah,
pretzels
it's
their
okay.
way.
Just fire it off, and I'll listen, and then we can move on, and we can go on to next week. But jokes aside, I mean, we are in the okay, Mondo. Undeniably, even as we are big fantasy football people, this is the burnout part of the fantasy football season. Take care of yourself. If you feel grinded out, we still got half a season left. You got to go hang out with the fam. Go do some fun for a couple days. Check out. Don't look at your fantasy lineup for a few days. So that's my suggestion to you because it's my suggestion this week. I started feeling it last week. We're in mid-burnout. Take a break. You don't need to be betting on college basketball. Talking to myself a little bit here. We can wait till football season's over for some of that. Take a break. Hang out with the fam. And, let's recoup and get ready for week 10.
You could just go out for a 3 mile ruck in the morning. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Just go out for a 3 mile
Just
ruck.
a few rucks this week.
You know,
Do something.
exactly.
Feel good. Yeah.
You know, just tune out. Don't look at your phone while you're out there. You don't even have to listen to music. Just listen to nature. Like take it all in. I agree with Russ. Don't burn yourself out. We are midway through the season here, and we got still a long way to go. Still a lot of fantasy and still a lot of football to be played here. So don't worry about your records. Don't worry about the injuries. You could still make the playoffs. You could still win some money. You could still have some fun. Keep that in mind there. Like Russell said, there's tons of content there at fantasyguru.com. Make sure you're checking all of that out. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at Armando_Marsal, as well as Instagram threads and TikTok at Mind of Marsal. Remember, if you're enjoying the podcast, enjoying the content, please make sure you follow, rate, review, like the content wherever it is you're consuming it. For the great Russell Clay, I'm Armando Marsal. Hopefully you enjoyed this week's journey through the Mind of Marsal. Until next time.